Hey guys, welcome to episode 77 of The Green Life. In today's episode, we're going to talk about healing your body by taking accountability and learning about the power of food. I'm speaking to Matt Bennett, also known online as My Raw Intuition, and Matt is going to share his story, a story of healing since he was a child, when he was sick, and how he didn't really understand what was going on because he was never told by the medical system how to heal. But he learned through his process, through life, and he took responsibility for his health, and then it got better. So he's going to share this amazing, powerful journey and how he helps people to do the same. Now, before we get into the episode, a big shout out to Nama Well for the J2 Juicer. You guys know I love my juicer. I have a discount code for you in the show notes. I don't make any money out of this, so feel free to use it just for your benefit. Now, I do make money, however, from Dr. Robert Morse's herbs. I'm an affiliate, so if you buy the herbs from my link, that will support the show. I love and really believe in these herbs. I use them myself. I help my clients use them while they cleanse their body and then change their diet for the better. So I know they work, I know they're powerful, and this is why I work with them. And also I have a link to my beautiful practice as well as my retreat center in Portugal. If you are a practitioner, a healer, and you're looking for a place to do retreats, please get in touch. I really support my fellow healers and practitioners to have a place where they can come and help people without breaking the bank and without the financial stress. So check it out, and I'll speak to you soon. Now let's go into this episode. I'm really excited about it. Without further ado, welcome Matt. Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for joining me on The Green Life today. How are you?
I am so good, Chantel. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I am really excited about talking about your story, your healing journey, your discovery, really. I think it's been multifaceted from what I learned about you. And I love to have not only, doctors and in brackets, experts that come on, but actually people that have taken health into their hands and can be really a testament that we can do it. Because I feel a lot of time society takes us in a place where they make us disempowered and they make us feel like because we didn't go to medical school, we can't make health decisions, where allopathic medicine doesn't actually even talk about health. It's just really tampering symptoms. So I love your journey. I love your story. And for people that don't know you, can we give them a little bit of a background about who you are and how you got here? 10 plus years raw vegan plus on top of that. So
yes, thank you so much. I'm always happy to share my story. So I grew up like most kids in the US, standard American diet, a lot of animal products and processed foods. Even though, so I grew up in Minnesota, so we're like right in the middle of the United States and up by Canada, and a lot of meat and potatoes type meals that we eat around here. And yeah, that's basically, my mom did try and make a lot of home cooked meals and things, but it still came out of like a box or a bag or something like that, or frozen, something. And yeah, as I, from a very young age, I had eczema and asthma and colds and flus all the time, sore throats, really dry skin. My parents used to wrap me in warm, wet washcloths with cortisol cream on them for the eczema and for my skin issues. And so that was something that I started with from, as very, very young. And as I got older, I started to kind of develop some toxic thinking patterns, self-conscious, just self-limiting belief systems that I was picking up from, bullies at school, or just, what, I don't even know where they came from really. But yeah, I just started having a very not as positive view of myself. And especially at the age of about 16 or 17, I started to lose my hair. I started to have more hair coming off on my comb when I get ready in the morning. And my hair was kind of like an identity piece for me, because I'd run around, like the girls would always try and mess up my hair because I'd like to style it and things when I was younger. And so once I started to lose my hair, I started to really get down on myself and really feel like, nobody's going to love me. I'm going to be ugly, all these different things. And it truly consumed my life. It basically was something I focused on constantly, like every day. It was just a constant thing. And so it affected a lot of the things that I would do, or, a lot of the things that I wanted to do, I wouldn't do because I didn't want, to get in a situation where, my hair would get messed up or something like that. So it affected basically everything in my life at that time. So that's what I was dealing with. Kind of depression, some of these things that, partially probably because of the hair, but also just because, I didn't sleep well. I had chronic insomnia. I would go many nights where I would have maybe just a couple hours of sleep. Digestive issues. I was constipated. I would go, at least a couple days, usually, like at least one day anyways, between bowel movements. So I didn't realize that this was something to be of concern. I just figured it was normal, not something that you really talk about with your friends. But I later realized that it really isn't normal. It's not health. It's maybe normal, but it's not healthy. It's not natural to go, days without having a bowel movement. And so, yeah, like all of these different things kind of just accumulated to, just create a low, quality of life. I kind of masked it with alcohol and partying. So I would go out, as soon as I was of age, I would go out and we would go to the bars a lot with my friends. And it was almost a nightly thing that we would go to the bars, or we'd have we'd have drinks at somebody's house or something. So yeah, I used alcohol to kind of suppress the feelings that I was having about just, not feeling the greatest, and also just about myself. So yeah, I mean, and then I learned about juice fasting. I came across when I was about 24, 25, I came across this radio program that was talking about juicing. And I had just previous to that, coincidentally, I had received a juicer from my brother because he received it and he wasn't using it. So I just took it I don't even know why I took it, because I didn't even know anything about juicing or fruits and vegetables or anything. So he gave that to me. A few weeks later, I came across this radio program and they were talking about the benefits of juice fasting. And so I was like, oh, I got a juicer, for whatever reason, it just sparked my interest. So I planned to do just like a weekend of juicing, and I was just going to go like 2 or 3 days. And at the end of that, I felt so amazing. Like I was already sleeping better. I was, just feeling like alive. I was just like, my energy levels had risen, and I just felt really good. So I just decided I'm gonna go back, restock on some fruits and vegetables, and I'm gonna keep going. And so I just kind of played it by ear. I just went day by day. I ended up going 10 days. And at the end of those 10 days, I had, lost weight. I was sleeping better. My skin looked better. My thoughts were maybe the most eye-opening thing, is that my thought patterns, my critical thinking, all this sort of stuff was subsiding. And I was becoming more aware of my thought patterns and of my self-critical, habits. And it just gave me the awareness that I didn't want to like think that way. Right. And it was just something that was kind of unconscious at that point. And so once I became aware of that, it just kind of snowballed into, wanting to learn more about why I was feeling so good. And so I really dug deep into documentaries and books and all this stuff on whole food plant-based diet and just cleansing and detoxification and, raw foods. And so I just went on a deep dive into, documentaries and books and I did some certification courses after a few years, and I just enjoyed learning about my body, and it was reinforced by the incredible benefits and how well I was feeling and how many just physical emotional, spiritual even benefits that I was experiencing. So I just intuitively knew that I was on the right track, and it just continued to lead me down this path, and I've been doing this now since 2011, so it's been over 12 years now, and I'm just so happy to have had this experience and to be able to share with other people the benefits that they might experience as well.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing so much in details. I love the introspection that you bring into your story. And I guess, once you go back a few times repeating and explaining what happened, it's not just the surface information, but actually understanding the feelings, and that connection really opens up your eyes. I mean, I had the same experience, of course, differently, but also self-esteem, because I didn't like my body. I didn't love my body. I grew up in a family where, I was given this image that I was not perfect. And so I became anorexic when I was a teenager, and I had eating disorders all my 20s. And, sometimes that pattern of thinking is still there, and you have to be so conscious about it. But in your case, obviously, as a teenager, losing chunks of hair is scary. And I'm wondering, did you go and see a doctor? And what did the doctor say if you did?
For the hair loss, I don't remember going to a doctor for that. From what I remember, I kind of kept it to myself for the first while. And I did start trying to change the things that I was eating. I went online and just started searching, how to prevent
Dr.
hair
Google.
loss. Yeah, Dr. Google, exactly. It's funny, I didn't even think about going to the doctor that I can remember anyways. Maybe it's just I'm not remembering, but all I remember is going online, looking up, different foods and different things you can do to slow or to reverse hair loss. And I mean, really, it was a lot of the foods that I was already eating. It was just high protein animal products. And then spinach was another leafy. It was one of the main plant foods that I would see. And so that actually led me into I would just start making these big, massive spinach salads with, of course, chicken and cheese and ranch dressing and all these different things that go that most people put into their salads. But I got into the habit of making big salads, like at least 3 to 5 times a week. And as I got into college, I continued that habit. And my roommates and my friends would give me a hard time sometimes about being Mr. Healthy and why you want to eat so healthy. And I had one friend, I think, that I kind of let in, that I shared my struggles with my hair, and he was very supportive. But most of the people that I hung out with didn't understand why I was so interested in eating healthy and doing healthy things. So yeah, it was kind of something I just kept to myself for the most part, outside of a few people, like my mom, of course, I told. But yeah, so it wasn't anything I went to the doctor for, but other than Dr. Google, where I did start making these changes, and I was always looking for like any food at the supermarket, or any like drink, any bottled drink that had like that touted like vitamin content, like vitamin C, super high vitamin C, or vitamin A, or protein, especially protein and calcium. Those are kind of the two main nutrients that I was like, I just, at the time, I just knew those were like the most important things in the world. So I was always looking for protein and calcium content of the things I was eating. But yeah, I was always looking for ways to bring in more nutrition and just be as healthy with my food as possible, even though I wasn't perfect. I was still eating fast food and pizza and all these different things. So I was doing my best with the knowledge that I had.
Yeah, I hear you. So after the 10 juice fast, which is amazing, by the way, I did the longest just fast that I did. Is not long, really, 3 days, but I felt different by day 3. Actually, even you can see the difference, like in your face. But I struggle with this image, this thought of not having any food for 10 days. Like, it's the chewing, I think. And
Mm.
So I start with baby steps now. But what is happening more and more is that I actually naturally have days and days when I juice, and then I don't even realize that I haven't eaten, and I'm just juicing because I'm getting so many nutrients. I'm so full of energy, and I'm sure you felt the same. You just have this boost, and you
Yeah.
sleep better, and you think clearer, and it's just such an amazing thing. But after your 10 days, how did you feel? Like, how was your transition back to solid food? What was your, what information did you have that allowed you? Because I guess this is really happening while still learning. So you're in the process, you're not raw yet at that point, right?
Correct. Yeah. I transitioned. I actually don't remember exactly how I broke the fast. But I did. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I've always been, I like once I learned about juice fasting, I did study. I know I was aware that you don't just want to like jump right back into like heavy foods. So I think I might have done like smoothies or salads. I don't remember exactly, but once I got back to eating solid food, yeah, I still wasn't vegan. I didn't even know what raw was. I don't think I even understood what vegan was at that time. So I started, in the research as I was like, as my awareness and my just consciousness had expanded over that 10 days. And the research I was digging into, I did start to learn about, just the benefits of eating more fruit. And so I started with breakfast was the first thing I changed. So I started having fruit for breakfast. And the thing that I remember is that, the just because I used to have coffee and different things like that, stimulants to kind of wake me up before work or before school or whatever it was. And just having that fruit, like the hydration and the fiber and helping with bowel movements and all that, I was so amazed at just the energy that I thought that I needed to get from coffee and different stimulants, energy drinks. Just like having that energy when I woke up and feeling good. So that just again reinforced that I was doing something that was working, and so I just continued to do that. I was basically just having fruit, and then I would just have my regular meals for the most part after that each day. And then once I was really like ready to move to the next step, I just went to lunch, and this wasn't like a predetermined path that I was taking. It just happened organically and naturally. And so yeah, I just started having a salad for lunch. Where I worked, they had a nice salad bar in the cafeteria, and it was actually organic too. So that was even a bigger plus because I was learning about all that stuff too, like conventional versus organic and pesticides and all these things. And so yeah, I was having my fruit for lunch, and then I was having like a salad fruit for breakfast and a salad for lunch. And again, just my regular whatever. I did start transitioning to like I was trying to have wheat bread instead of white bread, and I was having like turkey burgers instead of beef burgers, and I was eating I ate a lot of chicken breasts. That was like maybe the most consumed meat that I would consume was chicken breast. I ate a lot of that. And yeah, so then once I got comfortable with lunch and breakfast, and I was really, as this was happening, I was feeling just again more energy. I was continuing to sleep better and wake up more refreshed. Again, I was having these bowel movements more frequently, and I was just like amazed at like the lightness of that my body was feeling. And so yeah, I just kept going, and again, then I started having a side salad with my regular dinner. And then over time, I just continued to make that side salad a little bit bigger and bigger, and it just kind of crowded out the regular, my old foods. And it essentially turned into what I do now, which is what I call SFS, which just stands for smoothie, fruit, salad. And so I'll have a big smoothie for breakfast these days. And I've been doing this for many years now. It's just kind of the routine that I landed on, and it just worked really well for me. Smoothie for breakfast, a fruit of some kind for lunch. It might be like a couple different fruits, or just might be one fruit. But I have as much fruit as I want for lunch. And then for dinner, I have what I call a 5-star salad, which I kind of coined the term 5-star salad, which just means it's essentially what I've created for myself that worked really well to make a salad that made me feel like I had just eaten a meal. And because, most people struggle with feeling satisfied after they eat a salad. They're like, I just don't, I'm still hungry. And so I was just like figuring out all the things that I put into my salads that satisfied me. Cause I was like, I love my salads. Like that's what I enjoy eating for dinner almost every single night now. And so came up with that 5-star salad to help people understand like the pillars of making a substantial salad, and a nutrient dense and just an all around healthy salad. And yeah, that's kind of how I do it. And then if I want some cooked food, I always have it with the salad. Like pretty much never find me eating cooked. Like, and when I say cooked, I just mean basically, I call it conscious cooking. I got that from Dr. Clapper. So it means cooking with wet heat instead of dry heat. So you're using either a pressure cooker to steam or boiled. So, and it's always whole food. And so, yeah, that's if I have cooked, it's with my big 5-star salad, but a lot of times it's just the salad. And yeah, so that's kind of how I ended up structuring my meals that has worked really well for me.
I love that. So you're not fully raw, you're high raw, like 95%, I would say.
Yeah, I was much more strict with it early on, but over time, I just, I just kind of gave myself a little more flexibility with that. As I've researched and I've, observed long-term people, I really like, I'm a true believer in raw food and I promote it, in everything that I do. But I don't necessarily think that, you have to be 100% raw in order to obtain, the benefits of a mostly raw diet. There's plenty of examples of even just whole food, plant-based people that, don't focus on raw and they do very well long-term. So it just gave me the freedom to have a little bit more flexibility with how I go about it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same. I was never fully raw. I've always been high raw, but I've been very like, there are days that I just have raw, like weeks maybe.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't think about it. But if I want a sweet potato, I will have it. If I want some quinoa, I will have it. Like, right. I'm very flexible because to me, the other thing is my body's talking to me, and I'm sure you feel the same, where we start tuning in and we hear that maybe we're lacking something. And I'd rather give myself a sweet potato than have like cravings for things that are perhaps not very healthy. So, that's my approach. And I'm glad you're on the same page, because I feel like more and more of us actually coming to this conclusion, because that's another thing that it's happening with the community, is that sometimes we want to be so perfect that then we put so much pressure on ourselves and it becomes, start having imposter syndrome. And I'm like, are we traumatized enough, like living in this life? We have to add food issues.
Exactly.
Do that.
Yeah.
You mentioned at the beginning that you lost some weight after juicing, and for me, it's really hard to imagine you overweight because you look fantastic. What was your weight before now?
Yeah, I was around 160 pounds back then, and I'm 5'8". Right now, I basically hover between like 135 and 140 is what I feel at my best at. So yeah, that's and when I first got into this lifestyle, I was down to like, because I was doing a lot of fasting. I was doing, like a lot of cleansing type things. So I got down to like under 120. So yeah, it was kind of shocking for the people around me, but in my heart, I knew what I was doing. Like, even though I wasn't as educated about it all as I am now, but even back then, I just intuitively knew that, what I was doing was right for me. And so I accepted the fact that I was going to lose even more weight than I wanted to. Not that I even wanted to lose weight. I didn't want, like, it wasn't anything that I was trying to do. It just naturally happened. And yeah, so I just, initially I lost more weight, but then it balanced back out as I got into the lifestyle and I started finding a consistent and healthy way to eat, which, I think when you get into this lifestyle, you start eating a whole food, plant-based diet. And I think low fat is a key part to that. I think that for everybody that's doesn't have some sort of outlying circumstance, it should balance. It should bring you into like an ideal body weight without really that much effort. But some people do need to take a little more effort. But it's definitely possible and likely that you'll find your ideal body weight eating this way.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, we also lose a lot of water weight, and then,
Yeah.
then of course, that is the adjustment period.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to people that perhaps lose too much weight and don't put it on again, I mean, I think a lot of people have this approach of, one blanket approach for everybody, and we're very different. Like some of us may need more protein, some of us may need a little bit more fats. Like, there are some women that are generally so thin that they really need perhaps a little bit more fats in their diet to balance out hormones, perhaps. And of course, there is also the conversation of the gut health. I mean, are we absorbing the nutrients? Are we really, healthy, not just looking thin, but actually healthy? So I know that you studied a little bit with Dr. Morse, which of course we mentioned before we started recording. I love him. And I guess the fruit part came partly from him, learning about it, because I definitely learned a lot about the fruit from him. I never in a million years thought that I could eat fruit and have my glucose levels be okay, because I was taught, I went to nutrition school, and of course the correlation between fruit is bad for your sugar was like ingrained in me. And I also had problems with my glucose, and lo and behold, now that I actually eat more fruit, my glucose levels are perfect. So it's just another proof. And I guess you did some courses with him, and I'd like to know about your experience with him, and also how you're using learning with Dr. Morse to work, because I know you also are a coach and help people detoxify and get on a raw or semi-raw or just healing lifestyle.
Yeah. I did back in 2014 is when I did my level 2 certification with Dr. Morse down in Florida. And it was one of the most transformative, just unforgettable memories that I have. And it's funny that this is why I do think that it's so important for, people to, if you can get to an event, whether it's a fruit fest or whether it's a certification training or whatever it is, connecting with people in person is so much more powerful, even though it's great to connect online. Like, of course, that's really nice, but there's just a difference in connecting in person with things like that. And just the energy that, being around these people that, were mostly like-minded, and we were just all interested in learning about, the body and about health and detoxification and all this stuff. And it's just, I made so many friends from that I'll never forget. So it was incredible, and it was really cool meeting Dr. Morse, and it was great. So what was the other part of the question?
Oh, how you helping people now with the education you got from him?
Right. Okay. Thanks. So now I use the foundation. So the foundation of what I do is based on what I learned from Dr. Morse. Basically my whole lifestyle is like detoxification, but in a more balanced and, sustainable way than I think a lot of people do it. And that's one thing that I kind of take pride in is giving people a more balanced way, not compared to Dr. Morse. I'm just saying in the context of of a lot of the programs that are out there. I just think that there's a lot of more, extreme approaches to doing this lifestyle. And I've taken what Dr. Morse taught me and I've put it into, a teachable way that is easy for people to understand, and it's very sustainable. It's not dogmatic. It's not saying, all raw or nothing. It's not, I let people take the information and kind of tweak it to fit their lifestyle and fit their, what's going to work best for them. Because I do think we all, I think, people, the thing that when people say that we're all a little bit different, I agree, we are a little bit different. But I think people use that kind of as an excuse to say like, oh, well, we're all different. I need some animal protein, you might not, but, things like that. And I just don't see that as being the case. Under the umbrella of, technically we are a frugivorous species. So we are designed to eat, plant foods, mostly fruits and leafy greens and things. And so, when people are trying to say that, we're different in the sense that some people, depending on where they live or, their ancestry, if you take somebody from Europe or, Russia or Spain or, South America or Minnesota, and if somebody needs medical treatment or like a surgery, they're going to treat you the exact same way. We all have the same basic anatomy and physiology. And so really, other than a few minor things, preferences and things, I think we should all be eating pretty similar for optimal health. But yeah, I'm not saying one way is going to work for everybody. So I do encourage people to find the way that works best for them. And, that could be, I like big smoothies, put a lot of bananas in my smoothies. Some people don't like that. So there's some way, there's an example of how somebody might adjust, what I teach and like what I do to fit them and their preferences. And like you said, maybe somebody feels better eating a little more fat. That's for everybody to make, the decision for themselves, based on how they feel. And so, I coach people and I write books now. I've got 4 books technically. One is a children's book, which I don't have on me, but it's called Vegan Adventures with Barnyard Friends. I wrote it because, I was kind of traumatized in a way. I felt betrayed when I found out what animal, first of all, the sentience of animals and how, they're really no different than our family dogs and cats or whatever other animals people have. I used to think like farm animals were some different, robotic something, like, I don't know. I just didn't think that they were the same. But then once I learned that they were, and I just felt so betrayed. And once I saw the movie Earthlings and I just realized the truth about, the reality of what these animals go through. And then as I researched more, I really discovered that, regardless of the animal, we all have the same basic traits. They're really no different than us. They have 2 eyes, they have a mouth, they walk around, and they just desire to live their life happy and, love their families and have fun and play. And so I wrote a book in a non-graphic way for children to kind of just get that exposure. And there's like mazes and puzzles and things in there to kind of educate them in a fun way. It's called Vegan Adventures with Barnyard Friends. It's on my website. And then my other 3 books, 5-Star Digestion, 21-Day Raw Transformation Program, and 5-Star Salad Revolution. Again, I mentioned Dr. Morse. I think in all 3 of them, if not, I know for sure the 2, the Raw Transformation Program and the Salad book, because I do, again, Dr. Morse taught me. He was the first one that made me aware that, one, we're a frugivorous species, and he kind of broke down the different, types of animals, the herbivores, the frugivores, the omnivores, and the carnivores. And that like just opened my eyes. I was just like, wow, I never really thought of it like that. And he just showed like the anatomy and physiology of each one. And so that was like an eye-opening moment. And so I put that in the 2 books that just so people get that, just that initial understanding. And then they can look further into it if they like. But yeah, I mean, that set me on this path to start educating people. I just love to educate people and share what has worked for me, because I've seen it work for so many other people as well through coaching and just networking with different people. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. I especially love that you wrote a book for children, because there is just not enough material. And you're so right. We are betrayed. We are told certain things or not told at all, and we're just given this kind of false image of what animals are like. And you can even go to a petting zoo with your parents, and you cuddle the animals, and you do not make the connection that these same animals are on your plate at dinner time. Yeah. It's just insane. I mean, I became vegan in 2013, so I was 32, and I couldn't believe that I didn't notice, so that I had been so disconnected, and the dissonance was so strong. And I thought, wow, like I prided myself to be open-minded, but actually I was living in this prison of dissonance, and not really understanding. And in fact, I remember when people came to me to talk about veganism, I was like, please, I'm not a hippie.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm like, I wasn't vegan my whole life.
Yes.
So it's crazy. But so I hope that children get exposed to this. I mean, these poor children are exposed to so many crazy agendas. Can we just teach them the truth about animals? Like, come on.
Yes,
so,
totally.
And in terms of your 5-star salads, because I love the name.
Thank you.
What are your salads like?
Yeah, I can run through the 5 pillars of a 5-star salad if you'd like.
Yeah.
And just to, side note, I also, I worked in a meat market growing up through high school and college. And yeah, so I also had that like because I loved animals at the same time, but I was going to work and I was, cutting up chicken breasts and pork chops and all these different things. So, the cognitive dissonance was definitely strong, and that disconnect. So yeah, just to kind of relate to what you just said, but but the 5-star salads are, so again, these are salads that should leave you feeling like you just ate an actual meal, right? So it's not a side salad. We're getting rid of that concept. Side salads are out. Now the main meal is the salad. All right. So this is how you create a salad that can give you that, satisfaction, the nutrition, the satiation that you're expecting when you're sitting down for dinner. And again, if you, especially in the early beginning, if you're not used to eating a salad for your main meal, make the salad your main meal, but then you can have a side. Depending on what your goals are, if you want to be fully raw, just have a side of whatever, cooked meal that you typically have. And then over time you can just, phase that out and you can just have the big salad. But this is why I give people the option that still, even though the salad is very satisfying, they still just have like that emotional connection to cooked food and that warm feeling. So I would rather see somebody eat a big 5-star salad with their whatever cooked meal they're wanting, that's going to give them that, that's going to check the box for that emotional connection with their food. And I would rather see them do that than to just eat no salad or, just a little tiny side salad. So I like to give people some flexibility to work with. But yeah, the first pillar of the 5-star salad is at least 1 pound of leafy greens. All right. So this is going to maybe sound a little crazy to people. It's going to sound like a lot of greens. It's really not that much when you think of once you see what it is. I mean, when you see it, you might, if you're not used to eating big salads, it might seem big, but over time you'll get used to it and it's a breeze. It's not that difficult at all. It's actually very enjoyable. I love it. So 1 pound is typically like, it's like one good sized head of romaine or green leaf lettuce. Like usually, unless you're getting like the bagged romaines, the romaine hearts, those are usually pretty small. But like if you get a loose head of romaine, Like I just got like 6 heads from the farmer's market. Every single one of those are a pound in themselves. And so really it's like you're just eating like a head of lettuce. And so it's not that bad. So yeah, 1 pound of leafy greens. In addition to that, well, either in addition or within the 1 pound, I like to see people use at least a little bit of a cruciferous vegetable like kale or, collards or arugula or cabbage. They're not only do they have different nutritional qualities, but they also are a little more hardy of a green. So they're going to give you a little more satiation. Like kale is like 3 times the caloric density of like romaine or green leaf. So not that it's still within the leafy green category, so it's not calorically dense by any means, but compared to other greens, it is a little hardier, and it can give people just that more heavy feeling that they're used to. So that can help a lot. The third pillar is to have at least 1 leafy green herb. So you want to have like a fresh herb. So you want to have some fresh parsley or cilantro or dill or, basil, whatever you like. Just throw in some fresh herb. That's really going to give it that just boost of flavor, and just it's delicious to add in some fresh herbs. Fourth pillar is to have at least 5 different colors. You want to have 5 different colors in your salad. And, that's the polyphenols and the antioxidants that are going to help feed your microbiome. They're also going to be, anti-inflammatory and all these different things. So it's really going to benefit you not only from, a physical health level, but also just seeing the colors in your salad makes you emotionally more invested or interested in eating that, because you want to eat something that looks nice, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, get as many colors in there as you can. And then to top it all off, maybe the most important ingredient for most people is the dressing. And so you want to make your own homemade whole food salad dressing, which is super simple. And in my books, I've got, there's between the 2 books, I think there's probably close to 50 salad dressing recipes.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
okay, give me one example, because salad dressing can be really, really intimidating for people, because now we're talking no oil, right? So
yes, no oil. I mean, again, if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, very healthy, and you have a little bit of oil, I'm not going to say that's going to like destroy your health or anything, but just for me personally, I don't think oil is ideal. And so personally, I don't eat oil. But yeah, I'm not super dogmatic about it. But if somebody does have weight issues or skin issues, I would say to eliminate the oil and see how that works for you. But yeah, so a salad dressing.
Your favorite.
My favorite one. Well, I'll tell you. Okay, Smokehouse is one of my favorites. It's really difficult for me to say which one is my favorite, because I do truly love them all. And full disclosure, I actually don't really make these recipes in my daily life. I'm so like simplistic and like not into like doing a specific recipe. I just throw something together based on what I have in the fridge. But I do love making salad dressing recipes because one, they make the salad, you can turn any salad, like you have the same salad, but a different dressing, and make it taste and feel like a whole new recipe. And so the salad dressing is a really important part to making enjoyable salads. So Smokehouse is the one that it's always been one of my favorites, and it's usually one that people come back to me and tell me that they really like that one. And that one is in 21-day raw transformation program, but you can also get that for free on my website. It's in the Craving Busters kit. It's a free download. But it is, I can't even remember the exact ingredients, but it's I think it's sunflower seeds. All my dressings are basically 3 tablespoons of a nut or a seed for the fat base. And then it's got half of a lemon, which I I throw in the whole lemon. I peel off the yellow, but then I throw in the whole thing. I don't just squeeze out the juice. And that way you get more fiber, you get more of the nutrients, and also it kind of bulks it up a little more so that you're getting more of a substantial dressing. So let's see. So yeah, the sunflower seeds, the lemon, there's 2 dates, medjool dates that you can throw in there. And then it is smoked paprika. It's like a teaspoon of smoked paprika. I think cayenne pepper. It's basically it's like
different spices.
Yeah, it's different spices, but yeah, if you want the actual recipe, it's a free download on my website.
We'll put it in the show notes. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So I love that you talked about very exoteric stuff. So, your journey, the body, and the transformation. And by the way, when did you notice that your eczema was going away? Because of course, through healing, that's probably one thing that you noticed. And have you noticed also change in your skin texture, more hydration?
Yes, definitely. Definitely more hydrated. So I used to get just like such dry skin that it would crack and bleed. I couldn't tell you the last time that happened. It's been, never since I got, into this lifestyle. So it's, the quality of my skin is so much nicer. It's definitely more hydrated. My skin tone is like incredibly better than it used to be. I don't think I talked about it in when I was telling my story. I actually, just before this, I had another call that I was talking about this, but so I think that was in the other call that I said it. But so in 8th grade, I was playing basketball at the YMCA, and the kid that I was playing against, I was going up for a layup, and he came across and he hit me in the face and he broke my nose. And ever since then, I had like my face, especially my nose, it would, like, with the slightest temperature change, my skin would get all blotchy and red. And so that was something that really bothered me. And so that was, something that I didn't have any idea that changing my lifestyle or changing what I ate would have any impact on. But it did. It completely cleared that up. It doesn't happen anymore where my face gets really blotchy and red and things. So even if I'm out, obviously when you're out in Minnesota, it gets pretty cold, and my face will get red, but it's not anywhere like the same. It's not the same type of issue. So that cleared up. And the thing is, I because I didn't get into this lifestyle with like the eczema or my skin complexion on like the top of my mind. Like the major things that I was thinking about were my hair loss, as well as asthma, because those are the 2 things that really bothered me the most. The eczema I would get a lot, especially in the summertime when I'd be in the sun. I would get like really rashy between in my creases of my arms and my legs. And yeah, I didn't even like. I think I went a few years before I even like noticed that it didn't happen. I think, I don't remember exactly when I recognized that it happened, but eventually I just realized, I don't remember ever getting like, my rashes again. So it was just kind of something that happened. And I've had so many things like that where, like, even if I think back now, it's like, there's things that I haven't even recognized that happened, like that cleared up. And I'll just like remember one thing like randomly that, oh wow, like that used to happen. I don't have that happen anymore. So yeah, I wish I would have taken better notes on when, like how long, like the timeline of when I noticed these things. But I think it was, pretty quick. So
yeah, wow, I like that. And I think it's got a lot to do also with your bowel movement. So of course, and I think we cannot really go an episode without talking about poop. Considering that we are plant-based and raw for the most part. But you mentioned, it's normal for people not to go to the bathroom every day. And I am scarily learning this from people because, of course, when I was a child, up to my 20s, I had severe constipation and IBS. Well, IBS I had until 30 something, but severe constipation because when I was a child, my parents used to give me antibiotics every year for a sore throat. And just like I was getting infections in my throat. And so instead of actually healing my body, antibiotics, which created chaos. So for me, of course, not going to the bathroom every day was uncomfortable. I didn't think it was normal, but it's really what I knew because, hey, who goes to the bathroom every day? I'm not. And nobody talked about it, right? Nobody wanted to talk about poo. Nobody wanted to tell you what the poo should look like, the color, the smell, like nothing. And this is something relatively new because I think it's really something we talk about generally, openly in public on podcasts since maybe, I want to say 2013. Which is actually coincidentally the time when I started learning about the microbiome. And I think it's nice that it's in the public consciousness now because I think people need to talk about it. And I learned that a lot of my ex-colleagues that used to be a banker in the bank used to like only went to the toilet maybe every 4 days, once a week. I mean, I cannot imagine living like that. But then, they have an array of problems that they think it's due to aging or stress. And of course, stress has got a big impact on the body. And it's probably related to this, but it's the bowel movement and not happening. So I'm sure you didn't notice the eczema probably went away because you started having a much better microbiome, and with your bowel movements being regular, that generally means the skin is going to reflect that. So absolutely amazing. So I was saying that obviously you talked about all these wonderful physical issue, but I think from a few keywords that you use talking, there's a deeper growth and healing that happened through the journey, which is much more spiritual. So I'd like to talk about your growth internally, emotionally, spiritually, and how you feel now versus then.
Yeah, this is one of the issues that amaze me the most. Even with all the physical improvements that I've seen, it's really like it's like unbelievable to me the evolution that I've had spiritually and just emotionally. It's like night and day completely. So I first of all, it gave me the freedom emotionally to know that I'm in control of my health. I used to, because the doctors always told me that I'm going to be on the asthma medications and going to have to take whatever medications for the rest of my life. And that's just how it was to manage the disease. And so I just took that as truth until I had my experience with this lifestyle. And it just opened my eyes to the power that I have over my life and just, the incredible power that each person has and in controlling what happens for the most part. So that was one of the things that really inspired me to, continue doing what I was doing, but also researching and learning how to communicate this information to other people. So I really think, and that was one reason why I started my YouTube channel. So I used to be really terrified of public speaking. And so that was one thing where, emotionally, again, like I just was very self-critical and just, I'm still like not certain exactly where like my fear of public speaking came from, but I ended up, completely turning that around. Like now I can, give presentations and things, and it's just something that I do. But it was such a limiting part of my life that, I couldn't really communicate what I wanted to communicate. And of course, I'm not saying that I've mastered communication, because there's still many things that I need to improve, or that I would like to improve in how I communicate and just that sort of a thing. So yeah, it's still a work in progress, but it's night and day from what it used to be. And so I think the big transformation was just, realizing that, we are in control of our health and really the outcomes in our life. And so I started to think like, okay, I don't want to feel self-critical. Like I don't want to have these negative conversations internally about myself, right? So I just realized that there's things I can do to change my mindset. And so I got really big into like motivational speakers, like Les Brown and Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn, and those types of communicators, speakers, and motivators. And yeah, it just was like repetition. I just every single morning, really throughout most of the day, I would listen, like just with my headphones on, these motivational speakers, and just reconditioning my subconscious mind. I think, once we start to bring in the fresh fruits and vegetables, it calms the body. It puts us back into that parasympathetic state, so that the mind, it can free up. Not only is it like healing the gut, but it's even beyond that. It's connecting us back with that mind body connection, and it allows you to be much more aware of the barriers that you have in your life, whether it's self-imposed or not. And so you can start making decisions that are going to help you resolve these things and find solutions, rather than being in that fight or flight state where your awareness is so pigeonholed. It's like you're just trying to survive. You're just, you got cortisol going through you and adrenaline, and you're just like, all you want to do is react and find safety and survive. And so you're not really using introspection. You're not really using foresight to be able to analyze the situation you're in, and what solutions there are to change that situation if you want to change it. So that was the awareness that I was getting as I was bringing in these, the electricity and the antioxidants and the phytochemicals from the plants, and again, healing the microbiome and my gut, and just eliminating the waste. Eliminating the waste, and along with the physical waste, my mental waste was being eliminated as well. I was getting rid of a lot of these unhelpful programs that I had, obtained over my life. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just like unbelievable. I just started loving going into nature, and I liked being in nature before that, but it was a different feeling now that I was like getting really connected with my intuition and just with myself. And yeah, just going into nature was like so meditative and healing. And I was just like in awe of, like, I would just like look at the leaves and I would just like look at the bugs and, just kind of appreciate life. And so, yeah, it was just like in those early days, especially, I was just having like so many aha moments and just like so many, revelations that I was just so into it. And over time, while I'm still having, different aha moments, it's not as frequent as back then, but it's still like, now I've kind of leveled out to a place where, again, it's very sustainable. I feel really good. And I'm getting all the benefits that I want from my diet. And that frees me up to, dig deeper into other areas. Like I'm really getting more into the emotional side and like, and the spiritual side, but like just working on our emotions. I think life is really like it's like a training ground for the mind. Like I think we're here to master the mind. And I think people get stuck, in the dietary world, where I think that's just a tool. I think the diet is just a tool to allow you to start working more on your mind and mastering, and eliminating the negative programming and self-critical thinking, and finding that level state within your mind where you're not being reactive and coming from a fear-based state. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I've been moving into more so than the diet, because I do feel like I've kind of really honed in my diet. It's in a good place, and so that's kind of giving me more opportunity to look into some of those things.
Totally. And I think, it's the mind, body, soul connection.
Yeah.
I think there are levels, right? We ascend to become better and better at mastering these things. And I think that, first of all, if our temple is not clean, if our temple is not healthy, the mind is not going to be able to be clear. You talked about connections you're making. That's really clear neuroplasticity, which cannot happen if we don't even have the nutrients in our body to make it happen. And then, that clear pattern of thinking and dealing with the emotions is definitely very important. Are you there? And I think connecting then with the spirituality, understanding our purpose on this planet, because I think really we are souls having a human experience, and it is our job to take care of the vessel we're in, but there is so much more to us than just, these tangible limbs that we see. So I think you're doing definitely a great ascension into becoming a better and better coach, and as well for your own experience as you go forward. And that's really important, because I think that, our own healing, our own journeys is what allow us to be helping others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt, this was so much fun. I don't know if you have, if you want to share how people can get in touch with you, and we'll put everything in the show notes anyway, but also how can they work with you, and, if you have any specials on your programs, what's going on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to your audience and to get to know you. It's been great. If anybody wants to connect with me, my website is myrawintuition.com, and that's where I've got pretty much all my stuff. I've got my books. You can get the ebooks. If you want the paperback copies, it's on Amazon. And so you can either get to that through my website shop. There's a link to the Amazon pages, or you can just look up the titles or my name, and it should come up. But if you have trouble finding it on Amazon, if you want the paperback book, you can get to that through my website shop. So, and I do coaching. I'm actually about to start writing a new book right now on weight loss, and so that's something that I just commonly see people having issues with, and so I think I've got a pretty good approach to helping people with that, and so I'm going to put it into a book, and that should be ready early next year. But yeah. That's kind of where I'm putting my focus right now, as well as I have a new weekly show on YouTube called the Raw Intuition Health Show. And each week, every Sunday, actually, we just got done with the show right before this. Every Sunday at noon Eastern time, I go live with a different guest, and we discuss a topic. And then after that, we do a Q&A session. And so I give away a free ebook in every show. So if you ask a question in the Q&A section, you'll be eligible to win a free ebook. And so, yeah, and people can sign up for my newsletter as well if they want to, keep up on all the new things that I've got going on. It's at my website, again, myrawintuition.com. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got going on.
Fantastic. Thank you, Matt. We'll put everything in the show notes, as I said, so no problem. People will be able to get in touch with you. And it was a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate your time. And we can do this soon again, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.
All right. You too.
Thank you, Matt. And thank you, everyone, for staying on for this episode. If you want to learn more about Matt and how to work with him, how to buy his books, go into the show notes. I've linked everything there for you so you can find him easily. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like, share, review it. Make sure that you help us grow by doing these things so that we can invite more and more amazing people. Okay, I will see you next week. Bye.